Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be ranking all the Pokemon Professors. So I do have a couple of rules though, actually. So there might be some characters you think are missing, but I'm not counting them because technically they're not Pokemon Professors. They're Pokemon researchers. So they technically haven't got their like professor status or whatever it is yet, their doctorate or something. So I'm not counting them. Also, I am including some anime exclusive professors because I feel like they count because they're literally professors in the Pokemon world. So, yeah. And I'm also including a couple of spin offs as well, but you'll see. I'm not including all the spin offs because I haven't played them all. So, if there's any professors from those games that you think are missing, I'm sorry. But these are just the ones that, like, I know personally that well, mostly like. But anyway, let's get into it. I feel like people are going to be mad at me for this one, but you know what? I genuinely don't care. Professor Ivy. She is my least favorite of all the professors because she's not really a professor, is she? Like, really, she's just these things right here. Like, honestly. Like, I feel, if I remember correctly, she's also kind of, like, strange as well. Like, she's kind of acts kooky and she's, like, and also she took Brock away from us as well. Now, okay, actually, I need to say, when I say cookie, I mean, like, because other professors are cookie as well, but in, like, a more innocent kind of way, but, like, she acts like she's stoned all the time, if that makes sense. I mean, she does live on an island, to be fair. But yeah, I feel like all she is to people is her body, really. And, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. But, yeah, she did take Brock away from us as well, but thankfully Brock did come back eventually, and a lot of people talk about how we don't know what happened between them, but, like, she's an adult, Brock is a teenager, like, he's literally a minor. I think we know what happened there, okay? Okay. Anyway, that's enough talk about Professor Ivy. Professor Elm. I'm sorry, but Professor Elm is just boring. He really is. Like, do we really know anything about him? Like, what does he even research again? I don't remember. Does he research? No, that's Birch. What does he even research? I've actually genuinely forgotten. I'm sorry. I don't remember what he researches. Is it environment? No, that's Birch. Again, oh my god. It's not evolutions, because that's Professor Rowan. And then, yeah, I've drawn a blank, I'm sorry. I actually really am sorry about that. But yeah, Elm is, in my opinion, the most boring of all the Pokemon professors. I don't even think he appeared in the anime that much, to be honest. Like, I haven't seen all of the Johto anime, but I've seen most of it, and I only remember him being in one episode, and that was like the first episode. So yeah, it. I think he's the most underdeveloped professor, and he's not really that fun. Anyway, Professor. I didn't even know he counted, to be fair. Excuse me. So, Alolan Oak. Well, Samson Oak. He is Professor Oak's cousin from Alola. You can tell that he's very tanned. And I'm sorry, but what were they thinking with this idea? I think that was really weird. He's also really annoying in the anime. I'm sorry, but he is. He does all of these Pokemon puns and he does these weird faces, and I just don't like it, okay? It feels really weird. Like, yeah. I'm like, sure, some people probably like him, but I just don't. Sorry, I don't. Like, I really like the idea of expanding Oak's family because we only knew about his grandson, and then, like, obviously, he must have parents, but, like, we don't really know anyone else in Oak's family, so it's a good idea, but I just think that was a weird idea as well. Okay, Professor Rowan. You're probably shocked at this because I talk about how much I love Sinnoh, but I just feel Professor Rowan's kind of the meanest professor. Like, I don't know, he just comes across as angry to me all the time. Like, look at him in this picture. Like, no other professor looks that angry. I'm sorry. Like, even the professors I talked about before at least have, like, little bit more to their personality. But, like, what does Rowan really have exactly? Like, he tells you off for going in the long grass without having any Pokemon, and that's about it, really. I'm not really sure what else, he does, to be honest. I feel kind of bad for saying that, but yeah, it's kind of true. Anyway, Professor Juniper Senior is in C tier, and I'm gonna explain why. Because he has this thing he does in the anime where he doesn't finish his sentence fully but until like a couple of seconds later. So, for example, if you ask him something like, oh, Professor Juniper, can I go with you on your research? He'll say something like, oh, no, you can't. And then they'll be like, oh, okay. And then he'll say something like, until you get your backpack. And he does this all the time, and it, like, actually kind of bothers me. And it also bothers the other characters, because sometimes they do dangerous things because he has this habit. Like, Silent almost died once because of that. I know not a lot of people like Silent, but I do, but because he's clearly queer-coded, but yeah, sorry, Professor Juniper Senior, but you just annoy me a little bit. Anyway, Professor Lamington from Legends Arceus. He's fine, you know, like, he's like one of the few professors that, like, you know, goes with you while you research for him, which I think's cool. But, like, I just, like, he's just not one of my favorites, you know. I mean, I've only played Legends Arceus once, so I'm not, like, that attached to him, to be fair, like I am with some of the other professors, but, like, he's just not my favorite. He is from Galar, though, which I like. Shows that, like, you know, he's an immigrant, technically, which I don't know, I kind of like that. I also think he might be Hop and Leon's ancestor. I'm not sure on that one, though. Professor Cerise, he's from Pokemon Journeys. I told you there'd be some, well, we've already had Ivy, but there's going to be some anime exclusives. So, Professor Cerise, he's, like, obviously, he's a new Pokemon professor, but, Ash and Go start working for him as, what is it, Pokemon Fellowships, I think they're called? I don't quite remember. Basically, he gives them a task, they go to the region to fulfill the task, and then they come back with the research that they've done. Yeah. I just can't rank him any higher, though, because, like, he doesn't do that much. He does have a couple of episodes about him, like when he had this Clefairy friend as a kid, and then he meets it again when it's a Clefable, but that's just not a lot, you know? So, yeah, I just think he doesn't really deserve to be any higher, in my opinion. Professor Willow from Pokemon Go. So he gives you a task, because technically he is what Cerise is to Ash and Go, but to us, the player. So he gives us tasks to do, obviously, and, you know, once we fulfill those tasks, we get awards, so, that, yeah. I think he might have been in one of the games. I think there's a theory that he's one of the Johto gym leaders, the ice one, but I don't think that's true. There is a theory that the Pokemon Go takes place at the beginning of the Pokemon timeline, so obviously, like, yeah. But I think that theory was debunked. Also, I got a spoiler about Professor Willow, which I'm not going to say here, but I really do get annoyed when people spoil stuff like that. It really is terrible. Please stop doing that. Professor Burnett from Sun and Moon. I think she appeared in another game as well, but I don't remember what. She's Professor Kukui's wife. Also, like, I'm not going to show the original design, but the original design looks kind of white. And, well, she looks more tanned, but she does live in Alola, to be fair, so she's probably got tanned from the sun, yeah. She was, like, kind of the second female professor we ever had in the Pokemon game, so, which is cool. She is underrated, though. That's why I kind of ranked her a little bit higher than most people would have. I do like her. You know, she's, like, she was really nice in the anime as well, you know, it's like, because Ash was the same with Kukui while he went to Alola, and then when she got married to Kukui, you know, she was okay with Ash being there. Even though Ash's room doesn't have a door, so they were, you know, doing the thing, and Ash could hear it all, so I think this is why she got pregnant as soon as Ash left, to be honest, because she didn't have to hide what she was doing. Oh god, it just made that much darker. Anyway, now we're on the A tier. Professor Birch. Now, I learned, like, not that long ago that, like, Professor Birch, a lot of people actually simp for him. I'm not one of those people, but each to their own. He researches Pokemon habitats, yeah, so I got him mixed up with Professor Elm. I do like him, though. Like, I've played Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire quite a few times, so I am, like, attached to him, if that makes sense. I do like him a lot more than Professor Rowan. And he also seems like he's one of the younger professors. He also always gets attacked by Pokemon because he keeps invading their habitats, but it's because he's researching their habitats. But still, Professor Birch. Stop being a little birch. Professor Magnolia from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, I think she might be the oldest professor, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually not sure about that, to be honest. But I like her. I think she was also the last professor named after a plant as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but yeah. And I think she was, but she's kind of, like, not in the games that much, and there is a reason for that, to be fair, and I will explain why later in this video, but that's all I'm going to say for now. But anyway, Professor Sada from Scarlet, yeah. Is this where she is? Yeah. Okay, so back when the games first came out, I thought that these two were the hottest professors of them all. I've kind of changed my mind now that I'm a little bit older, so yeah, but I still think they're quite hot as well. But sorry, Sada, I just think Turo's hotter than you, but we'll get there when we get there. Anyway, So actually, I am going to say this though. Sada and Turo, like, so they're the first version exclusive professors. So Sada's exclusive to Scarlet, and then Turo's exclusive to Violet. And yeah, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, they're also the very first professors that are villains as well. So that's really cool. So yeah, I'll talk about them more when I talk about Turo. But Professor Juniper, the younger one, she was the very first female professor that we ever got, and arguably this is when the professors stopped just being like old and started being, hot. But she's not the hottest professor for me. Apparently she was originally meant to be like an old man professor, but they decided to make her look like she was like, because Universe was the first the first Pokemon region not based in Japan, so they wanted to make her look like she was like just like fresh out of school, like she just became a professor and she's like like getting her first job in Unova. So yeah, I kind of get what they were going for, and it did work out. She's one of the nicest professors as well, though. I like her. Anyway, Turo from Violet. I did think he was the hottest professor, but like I said, I've changed my mind a bit. Mostly because he reminds me too much of my brother now, but I still like him. If you can see, Professor Turo has futuristic clothes, and Professor Sada has like past clothes, like she's a cave woman. That's intentional because Scarlet is like about the past and Violet's about the future. I literally only got Violet because of him, and I kind of regret that now because looking at Scarlet, it's the better game of the two, 100%, but oh well, that's done. But yeah, although I don't like them as much as I did when the games first came out, I still like them a lot. Anyway, now we're on the S tier. And Professor Oak, I can't not put Professor Oak in S tier. He's the most iconic professor. He was the very first professor. And also, he's the one that, like, a lot of people make memes about, like, asking if you're a boy or a girl, because the professors always ask that, but he actually wasn't the first professor to ask that. Professor Ilm was. So, interesting how, like, he's the one that they do the memes with, but that's whatever. He also probably has the most iconic role in the anime of all the professors. I mean, maybe aside from one, but we'll get there. He's also probably one of the most developed professors because, like, so if you haven't seen it, in the fourth Pokemon movie, the younger version of him actually travels into the future in Ash's time, and him and Ash become friends, and then that's how, like, Oak knows Ash. But Oak doesn't tell Ash this, and he still hasn't to this day, which I find hilarious. I mean, Ash's series is over now, so maybe he has off-screen, but I have no idea. But yeah. And also, he's the only, like, professor whose grandson we've seen, because obviously he's your rival. But yeah, I like Professor Oak. I couldn't rank him higher, but I thought he at least deserved S tier. Anyway, the last professors, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this, but the last professors are the ones that I genuinely consider hot. Like, I really do. Sorry, I have to fix my chair there. Like, these are the hottest professors, and that's why I've ranked them high. So, Professor Sycamore from X and Y, yeah. I mean, look at him. Like, how can you argue with that? Look at his hair. Like, he's one of the younger professors as well, so damn! I said that a bit loud, sorry. But I do like him. He studies Mega Evolution. So yeah. If you don't know what Mega Evolution is, you maybe do your own research, because I don't really want to explain that, to be honest. I like him a lot, though. He does look like one of my, Instagram friends. I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna dox him like that, because that's embarrassing, but he does look like him, which is ironic because one of the other professors I'm going to talk about soon looks like someone else that we both know, but I'll get there when I get there. Anyway, Professor Kukui, I've been talking about him. So, aside from Oak, I would say he's the most developed professor because you actually bump into him a lot in the games, and he also has an alter ego called the Mask Royale. So, yeah, he's a wrestler, in case you didn't know. And he's also the only professor that doesn't wear a shirt, but I ain't complaining. I'm sorry. As you can see, he's very tanned as well because he's from Alola. Although, actually, people in Hawaii, like that where Alola's based on, do have darker skin, to be fair, because they're Polynesian, so yeah. I just think that he's Polynesian. Sorry, I still have a bit of a cough. Just hang on a second. Sorry. And, like I said, he let Ash stay with him. In the games, he let Lily stay with him as well. And Professor Burnett's his wife. Also, the funny thing is, Professor Burnett is a really big fan of his alter ego. So, but she didn't know that it was him when they got married. And then when she eventually found out, she was obviously like, oh my god, I'm married to the Mask Royal. So that was really funny. Anyway, Sonia. Now, she was my favorite professor for a long time until a certain someone we'll talk about in a minute showed up. Yeah. Now, I know I've said how they're both really developed, but Sonia is a very developed character because we actually see her become a professor. Now, this is why I said Magnolia didn't really get much screen time, because Sonia got the screen time, but I don't care because I love Sonia so much. I don't know how old she is exactly though, but I do know that she's older than 18, so I'm allowed to call her Hop. I'm sorry. But yeah, I love her design as well. And this is who I was talking about, who looks like the third person that, yeah, so that's ironic as well. You know, there's one thing I don't like about her design though, and it's actually two things. The fact that her, like, hair, like, thing is the same color as her actual hair, and then her eyes, jumper, and nails are all the same color as well. Like, that's a bit, like, come on, use some more color there. But yeah, I do like her a lot. She's one of the most developed professors, and she also helps you a lot throughout the game as well, and we actually get to see her become a professor, which is the first time. We've never seen them become professors, but was there ever any doubt? I don't care how highly I have him ranked. I don't care that I've not known him that long. Freed is my favorite Pokemon professor. Yeah. He is so cool. He's the coolest professor. Like, because he doesn't care about being a professor. That's the thing. He just does whatever the hell he wants, and it's like, deal with it. Actually, I do need to say, though, I left a pinned comment, but my last ranking video where I was ranking the members of the Rising Volt Tacklers, I should have just waited until I finished Season 1 before making it, but the ranking's still kind of the same. I just wanted to say that real quick. But anyway, yeah, Freed is so cool. Like, and his Pikachu is cool as well. His Pikachu is cooler than Ash's Pikachu. Sorry, not sorry. I do wonder if he knows any of the other Pokemon professors, though. That'd be really cool. I have started Season 2. Obviously, like, it's only the first half that's out, but even then, I've not finished it all. Freed has gotten a lot less screen time because, like, it's about Liko, Roy, and Dot traveling Paldea, which, to be fair, I do appreciate since we didn't get a proper Galar anime, but still, less Freed screen time makes me sad, but it's fine. He did get a whole episode where he, like, went to his old research place, and he, like, apologized for leaving, but then his old boss gave him his card back, and then he went to check his old research lab, but the security tried to stop him, so he just rode on his Charizard and flew away. So that was funny. But yeah, I really do think that he is my favorite professor now. I really love him so much. But that's my ranking of all the Pokemon professors. Let me know who your favorite is in the comments down below. It's probably Professor Oak, to be fair, because he's the most iconic one. And, there's going to be a lot more Pokemon videos coming. I'll see you next time. Bye!